March 12, 1928, 11:57 p.m. Officer Thornton Edwards is patrolling the San Francisco Canyon. Above him stands the St. Francis Dam, a wall of concrete holding back 12 billion gallons of water. Sleeping, silent. But inside the concrete, something is screaming. At 11:57:30 seconds, the world ended. A wall of water, 10 stories high, tore through the canyon at 18 miles per hour. It didn't just flood the valley, it erased it. By sunrise, over 400 people were dead. Bodies were washed all the way to the Pacific Ocean, 50 miles away. This was the worst American civil engineering disaster of the 20th century. It was built by William Mulholland, the man who brought water to Los Angeles. A hero, a genius. But in one night, his legacy was washed away. He didn't just build a dam. He built a loaded gun pointing at thousands of sleepers. Why did it fail? Was it sabotage? Was it an earthquake? Or was it a geological mistake so simple a child could have seen it? Welcome to Fatal Blueprints. Today, we investigate the St. Francis Dam, the engineering mistake that flooded California. In the 1920s, Los Angeles was a miracle. A booming metropolis built in the middle of a desert. But it had one fatal weakness: thirst. William Mulholland, the chief engineer, had solved this problem once. He built the longest aqueduct in the world to steal water from the Owens Valley and bring it to LA. But the farmers in Owens Valley didn't give up their water willing. They fought back. They used dynamite. This was the California Water Wars. Mulholland lived in fear. If the rebels blew up the aqueduct, Los Angeles would dry up in weeks. He needed a backup battery, a massive reservoir close to the city to store water in case of sabotage. He chose San Francisco Canyon. It looked perfect. A narrow gorge, high walls. But nature is excellent at hiding its traps. The canyon was a geological nightmare. The east wall was made of mica schist, slippery and unstable. The west wall? Even worse, it was red conglomerate, ancient landslides cemented together. When dry, it felt like stone. But when wet, it turned into paste. Mulholland was a self-taught engineer. He didn't consult a geologist. He looked at the canyon and said, "Build it." Construction began in 1924. And then, the pressure took over. Los Angeles was growing faster than expected. They needed more water. Twice during construction, Mulholland ordered the dam raised. First by 10 feet, then another 10 feet. He wanted to maximize capacity to 12 billion gallons, but he didn't widen the base enough to support the extra height. He was defying gravity. By 1926, the beast was finished. It was beautiful, a triumph of man over nature, or so they thought. As the reservoir filled, the water began its silent work, saturating the porous red rock, turning the foundation into mush. The dam keeper, Tony Harnischfeger, started noticing cracks. But concrete always cracks, right? Until the morning of March 12th. The leak wasn't clear anymore. It was muddy. That meant the foundation was washing away. Mulholland arrived at the dam at 10:30 a.m. He looked at the muddy water. He looked at the wet canyon wall. He made a judgment call that would haunt him forever. He said the leak was normal. He declared the dam safe. He drove back to Los Angeles to eat dinner. He didn't know he had just signed the death warrants of 431 people. Night fell. The canyon went silent. Tony Harnischfeger and his family went to sleep in their cottage, right at the base of the dam. But under the surface, physics was at work. It's called hydraulic uplift. Imagine trying to push a beach ball underwater. It wants to pop up. The water wasn't just pushing the dam forward, it was lifting it up. And the red rock foundation? It had turned into toothpaste. 11:57 p.m. A motorcyclist named Hazel rode past the dam. He heard rocks falling. He felt the ground tremble. He sped up. Seconds later, it let go. The west abutment failed first. The concrete wall, weighing thousands of tons, didn't just fall. It slid. Tony Harnischfeger and his 6-year-old son never woke up. Their bodies were never found. The falling concrete sliced through the main power lines. At 11:57 and 30 seconds, the lights in Los Angeles flickered and died. The clock had started. 12 billion gallons of water were unleashed at once. A wave, 140 feet high, carrying chunks of concrete the size of houses, roared down the canyon. The force was so immense, it carried a single block of concrete weighing 10,000 tons. For a mile downstream, 5 miles downstream, stood Powerhouse Number 2. Inside, 28 workmen were on the night shift. They had no warning. 5 minutes later, they were gone. The flood didn't stop at the canyon. It turned west into the Santa Clara River Valley. It became a monster, a mix of water, mud, trees, and houses. But there were heroes. Officer Thornton Edwards and Stanley Baker raced against the wave. They became the Paul Reveres of the flood, knocking on doors, screaming into the darkness. "The water is coming!" Telephone operators stayed at their posts until the lines went dead. But for many, the warning came too late. The wave was relentless. It traveled 54 miles. It smashed bridges. It derailed trains. It carried bodies all the way to the Pacific Ocean. By dawn, the violence stopped. The flood emptied into the ocean at Ventura. Behind it, it left a scar of mud 2 miles wide. In Los Angeles, the phone rang. Mulholland picked up. The voice on the other end said 4 words. "The dam is gone." He drove to the canyon. He stared at the tombstone, the only piece of his creation left standing. He didn't speak. He just wept. 431 people were dead. It remains the second deadliest disaster in California history, right behind the 1906 earthquake. The grief turned to anger instantly. The public wanted blood. They wanted Mulholland's head. The inquest began immediately. The geology of the canyon was put on trial, but ultimately, it all came down to one man, the genius who built it. The courtroom was packed. Everyone waited for Mulholland to defend himself, to blame the geology, to blame the sabotage, but he didn't. In a whisper that silenced the room, he said, "Don't blame anyone else. If there was an error in human judgment, I was the human." And then, the most haunting words of all, "I envy the dead." The jury cleared him of criminal charges, but the verdict was clear. The dam was built on a Paleolithic landslide. The mountain itself was a corpse long before the concrete was poured. To erase the memory, the city dynamited the remaining tombstone. They tried to wipe the St. Francis Dam off the map. Mulholland resigned. He spent the rest of his life in isolation, replaying that night in his head. He died 7 years later, a broken man. But from the rubble, safety was born. Because of St. Francis, California created the strictest dam safety laws in the world. Today, no dam is built without a geologist signing off. The arrogance of man conquering nature died in that canyon. If you visit the canyon today, you will find ruins hidden in the grass. Silent monuments to the 400 souls who paid the price for a lesson in geology. This is Fatal Blueprints. We dig up the mistakes so history doesn't repeat itself. Subscribe and hit the bell. Next time, why did a suspension bridge made of steel twist like rubber in a mild wind? The Tacoma Narrows Bridge. You won't believe your eyes.